Have you ever noticed that when you get really excited over something, there's this weight and this resistance that comes up and you hold back, you stop, you sabotage yourself? If that's what you recognize, this video is for you. I am Pauline Timmer and I am fully specialized in healing the fearful avoidant attachment style. I've helped over 3,000 fearful avoidants heal in the past 7 years after healing this attachment style myself completely. And I am so happy you are here because this is one of those very exhausting mechanisms that work within the fearful avoidant attachment style. You may have something you want to work towards, you want to go towards, whether that's more intimacy, whether that's a relationship you actually want to go for and surrender to, whether that's career, whether that's being happy or doing something that makes you happy, or money, anything that you want and you want to move towards. You notice that after that initial feeling of I want this, it's like something slams the brakes and you stop and you sabotage and you go back and you kind of dim down and make yourself small again. So what is going on? It's what I started calling the judge brake. It's that start-stop feeling. It's a mechanism that works inside of you to keep you safe, as so many of these mechanisms are designed to do, but it's not serving you anymore. So where does that come from? Most fearful avoidants grow up, have a childhood where it's not very safe to experiment, right? You maybe have had a chaotic household where there was just no room, no way to really experiment in a safe way. And with experiment, I mean experimenting in feeling what you're feeling and allowing that, and doing the things you love and making mistakes in that. You know, if you as a child loved helping baking, or you loved things with the kitchen. My son happens to be obsessed with the kitchen. But your parents weren't able to really facilitate experimenting and, you know, making a mess and doing things wrong. It didn't feel safe to experiment. You may have felt that you were not allowed to mess up in the small things, in the big things, because there was just no room. Your parents couldn't handle it. They maybe actively made you feel like you weren't allowed to mess up, to not make mistakes. And it could just be that there was a lot of anger in the house. And because of that, you felt like you just had to stay small. All of these are a foundation for that start-stop mechanism. But what I want to dive into today is something that is missed a lot in the fearful avoidant attachment style, because when you read about how this attachment style comes to be, there's a lot of clear things, the ACEs, that lead to this attachment style, you know, the pretty severe trauma, the severe abuse. But one of the things that is so often overlooked, that I don't really read anywhere, but I definitely have seen again and again in all the fearful avoidance I've helped, is that a lot of fearful avoidants, if not all, have hypercritical or judgmental parents. Either one parent is hypercritical or judgmental, or both. And that also leads to the fearful avoidant attachment style. So what does that mean? What does hypercritical and judgmental mean? Because I know that when I wasn't aware of having this attachment style, I really genuinely thought my dad just wanted to help me. And he did. I mean, he really did want to help me. But it didn't feel like judgment then. It didn't feel like criticism. It was just truth. Like, I was not doing it good enough. I had to be better. And all the things he told me I had to do better or different, I believe that that was just him trying to help prepare me for the world. And I didn't label it criticism or judgment. I really thought it was just my fault that I wasn't doing things right. So that is that was the first realization that was needed to see that all those remarks that he made, even though he was trying to be helpful, really did create a lot of the mechanisms that drive the fearful avoidant attachment style. including the judge break, which, just to be clear, is not a term. It's just what I started calling this break that I felt coming on when I wanted to work towards something that I loved or that I wanted. So that hyper criticism and judgment, it cuts deeper than a lot of people assume or even realize, because they can be such casual remarks. It can be a remark like, what do you have to be happy about? Or who do you think you are? And it doesn't even have to be with a lot of anger, which also happens with fearful avoidant parents, because it's a very emotionally intense, volatile attachment style and therefore parenting style. But remarks like that always follow something you felt or wanted or said. And because of that, those two get connected. When you're happy and your parents said, what do you have to be happy about, in not a open, loving, completely non-judgmental, unconditional way, you associate that feeling of happiness coming up with, oh, that's not right. Oh, I'm not allowed to feel this. Oh, I need to dim down. And so what happens is that your fear system is just completely being trained for, oh, when these feelings come up, or when this feeling of longing or wanting or excitement comes up, that's when this happens. And so what happens when you grow up, the judge, that parent that was hypercritical or judgmental, isn't even there, but you internalize that. And you didn't only internalize the words. It isn't just that voice that you may recognize that's in your head saying things like, who do you think you are? Or don't be so elated, or whatever it was that your parents said. It's not just that voice. It's the visceral and the physical reaction. That's what stops you. Not the words, but the physical reaction to those words. And that is such an important distinction, because if you don't know this or don't realize this, it is really hard to heal this and to be freed from this. You can understand this completely, like, oh, my dad used to say this, my mom used to say that, and that's why I do this now. And you don't notice any improvement. And that is because even though you may understand where it comes from and what the words are, that physical reaction is still in your system. And that system, that fear system, is trying to protect you. And unless you release those associations, when you heal those negative associations, those feelings, you will have the judge break. You will have that mechanism inside of you that will just slam the brake whenever you want to move forward to something that you want, that excites you, that makes you happy. So it's not just, I've had a therapist say, well, just don't take that voice seriously. And that was one of those moments where I thought, you are so well-meaning. I understand what you're saying, and you have no idea what is going on inside of me, because it just didn't feel like a choice. It didn't feel like I could choose to just ignore those feelings. And that was, I didn't know it then, but I see that now, because of that visceral and physical reaction that I had. And that was still in my body, internalized, even when my parent wasn't around. And it kind of felt like I first needed to be perfect to be able to let go of the brake. Just imagine you're driving on the freeway and you're pushing the gas and you're braking, like every other second. You're pushing the gas, you're braking. You're pushing the gas, you're braking. This is a very obvious and almost cliche example. But just imagine what that would do. It's so exhausting and so confusing for yourself, for others, but mostly for yourself. And it does not feel smooth at all, right? And so you feel like I just have to be perfect, do everything perfect, and then I can let go of the break. But that's not going to lead you to ever let go of the break, because perfection is really an illusion. And it is about releasing this mechanism from your body, from your system, instead of trying to be more and more perfect, waiting for the day that that break doesn't come on because you're perfect. That just doesn't happen. And so, what is important in healing this is that you let go of that physical reaction. And there are several ways to do this. If you are in therapy, you can use EMDR if your therapist is trained in that. Um, or you can use EFT, the emotional freedom technique, which I use a lot also in the program on Healed and Happy. And that's what we use to release this physical association with those words. And I'm going to add a pathway soon completely focused on this, where we go through the different things that one of your parents, either one, said, and uncouple that physical reaction. And you will notice that you can even hear the words. Your parent could say those words and it would just be neutral. It wouldn't do anything. You wouldn't shrink. You wouldn't feel like I shouldn't. I have to stop. I can't move forward. I have to hold back, because that's the feeling that you keep having. You move forward and you stop. That's the judge break that comes on. And so when you release that physical reaction to it, almost that startle reaction, that's when you can just move forward without the break. And life will be so much easier, more fun, more free. And that's absolutely what I want for you, because there is so much inside of you, natural gifts, natural expression that is wonderful and amazing. And we don't get to see that because you have this judge break that makes you feel like anytime you even come close to that, anytime you come close to connection or intimacy or another person, there's this almost cage around you that keeps you from really moving forward. And we want to see you, your gifts, your expression, your connection. And we want it to be easy for you, to be comfortable for you, and not feel like you are having to do all of that perfectly, because otherwise something bad will happen. You will get judged. So the judge break can feel very heavy. It can feel very controlling, because in a way it was a way to control you. And unless you uncouple that physical association with the feelings of happiness and excitement and connection and intimacy and wanting and desire and longing, you will always hold yourself back. You will always feel like you're just trudging through mud to get to where you want to. And it doesn't have to be that way. It can feel so much easier and more free. Let me know what you think of this judge break, and whether you have recognized it, whether you have this, whether you notice it. I always want to hear from you. I love hearing from you. I love that you're here. Thank you for being here. And I will see you in the next one. Healed and Happy is a tailor-made online program where me and my team personally guide you through healing the roots of the fearful avoidant attachment style.